What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am DL, back with a Netflix movie review. Today, we're going to be talking about the much anticipated Guillermo del Toro stop motion animated film, Pinocchio. It came out this past weekend. Let's get into it. So, I am a Guillermo del Toro fan. I have been a fan of most of his movies. For those, I'm sure most of you already know about his work. He's done the first two Hellboy movies. He's done Pan's Labyrinth, Pacific Rim, Nightmare Alley, The Shape of Water. A lot of people are familiar with his work, and he's well beloved. It's one of the great film auteurs out there. I will say, even though I'm a fan of his, I haven't been loving his work as of late. Um, like for instance, I wasn't the biggest fan of The Shape of Water. I know it won Best Picture of that year, and a lot of people love it. For me, I wasn't the biggest fan of that. And Nightmare Alley, I was meh about. I didn't hate it, but I was like, I mean, it's fine. It was fine. Um, what I tend to see with Guillermo del Toro is that he seems to be more style over substance. Like no one can deny the creative vision that Guillermo del Toro has. Like when it comes to his style and how he, most of all, his design for creatures. It's unprecedented. It's some of the most creative stuff that I've seen in a film. But he is able to inject some heart, into his stories and characters, for the most part. So that's where I see, like, I don't think he's completely without substance, but it's just like when it comes to his storytelling, he's more of a visual storyteller than anything. So that's probably one of the reasons why he holds a special place in my heart, because he does have that eye for make creating a world, and being creative with with creatures and stuff like that. That's one of the things that I enjoy about him the most. But when it came to his Pinocchio film, he said that this was a passion project for him. He's been wanting to do this for a very, very long time. He's been working on this for years. Um, and like it was very difficult for him to find a studio that would be able to give him the resources to make this movie. But Netflix knocked on his door and was like, "You want to make a Pinocchio film? Go nuts!" And that's exactly what he did. When it comes to like Pinocchio overall, I do really enjoy Pinocchio. Of course, everyone is familiar with the Disney Pinocchio, which I enjoy a lot. There's certain things about this movie that doesn't hold up for today. But for the most part, like it was part of my childhood. There's a lot of nostalgic memories I have with that movie, and the music's really good. Um, but there has been a lot of versions of Pinocchio post the Disney version, and I have seen a good amount of them, including the very disappointing Disney live action remake that premiered on Disney Plus, directed by Robert Zemeckis. I thought that was really, really bad. I was so disappointed with that version. Uh, like, how could you mess up Pinocchio? It's such a simple story to tell. And Disney, once again, lets us down with its cash grab live action remakes. No, I was not a fan of that. Um, so it made me even more interested to see what Guillermo del Toro was going to do with his version of Pinocchio, considering the fact that, he's not just going to make, an ordinary Pinocchio story. He's going to put his own dark, mystical spin on it. And I was really excited about that. So, yeah. And for another thing, for it to being released on Netflix, that he was for the most part able to do what he wanted creative wise and story wise. He's not going to be held back with studio notes and stuff like that. So I was actually really looking forward to this version of Pinocchio, and it coming out during the holiday season, I thought it was the perfect time for them to release this. Because for one thing, I didn't understand why the Disney live action remake came out during the summer, because it seemed more like a holiday film. But they probably deep down they probably didn't want to compete with Guillermo's version, and also since it being on Disney Plus, because if this came out around the time that Avatar: The Way of Water was coming out, it would have been destroyed, demolished at the box office. So good wise decision on Disney's part, even though it still ended up being a failure for them. But anyway, enough about talking about that whack ass Disney version. Sat down and watched the Guillermo's version on Netflix, and overall, I will say that I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very well made film. Unfortunately, I did not love this movie. I was a bit let down in a few places. This was not the masterpiece that I thought it was going to be. I know there's a good amount of people that did love this movie. And if you do love this movie, I mean that's great. I'm glad that you did, and I still liked it. I still had a good time with it. But there's just certain elements of this movie that didn't fully work for me. Um, I guess I'll start out with the positives. Let me talk about this stop motion animation. This is one of the most beautiful stop motion animation films I have ever seen. Like the way it was done, it was fantastic. There was quite a few places where I forgot that this was a stop motion animated film, because the movement of the characters and the environment was just so fluent. Like this was some of those fluent stop motion animation I've seen. Like it's competing with stuff like like the Leica films and stuff like that. And there's ways that I think it surpasses it. Like this is one of the best stop motion animation films I've seen. I love the design of the world. You definitely felt like it was Guillermo del Toro's stamp throughout this entire film. Just for the way the characters were designed, and that mysticism of the world, and the creatures from of the undead, that the blue angels and stuff like that. It felt like Guillermo's vision, and it's probably the biggest positive I can give of this. It did feel like Guillermo's vision. However, you did feel like he tried his best to keep the essence and the spirit of what the story of Pinocchio was. Um, I personally like the design of Pinocchio. Like he's straight up a wooden puppet. Like they didn't try to make Pinocchio look like an actual human. Like he actually just looked like a tree carved into a puppet, and I actually really dig that design. And there's a story choice of why he looks that way, and I thought it was effective in the film. Um, the voice acting also I thought was excellent, across the board. And like normally for like when it comes to famous celebrities doing voice acting, I've been saying that you should actually get like professional voice actors to voice these characters in animated films, because there are some celebrities out there that do a really good job, but I feel like it's taken away from the actual professional voice actors that do this for a living. They don't normally like to cast those uh, voice actors because they're not as famous, which I think is ridiculous. But in this case, with the celebrity voice cast that Guillermo del Toro brought in, they all were excellent. Especially Ewan McGregor as the cricket. I thought he was great. Gregory Mann as Pinocchio. I thought he was really good too. It was a perfect kid voice they had for Pinocchio. I thought it was great. Ron Perlman, of course, he's a veteran of working with Guillermo. You got to have Ron Perlman in a Guillermo del Toro movie, but he was very good. Tilda Swinton as the Blue Fairies. Well, there's two Blue Fairies actually in this movie, which was actually very interesting. But she did really well. David Bradley from the Harry Potter movies. Like I didn't expect for Guillermo to get him for this, but he voiced Geppetto, and I thought he fit very well. And what really caught me off guard was Kate Blanchett as the monkey. Um, like yeah, I didn't even think they needed a actor or voice actress for to play a monkey, but let me tell you, the monkey in this movie is one of the best parts of the film. Like I'm not even lying. Like the monkey in this movie I thought was excellent. And Tilda Swinton, man, she did her thing. And like for most of the voice actors, I almost I there were times in the film that I forgot that it was the actual, it was the celebrities they were voice acting. Like they did a really good job, like, you know, blending into that role. So I thought the voice acting was excellent across the board. So what I would say what I was slightly disappointed with was overall I feel like the film feels a bit disjointed in my opinion. You could tell that Guillermo was trying to throw in a lot of ideas in this movie, and he was trying his best to mix them all together in a coherent way. But like the ideas, not all the ideas mesh well together, you know. And it feels like feels like the movie's trying to approach like a Forrest Gump type of structure of the movie, where Pinocchio goes through these goes through several different types of journeys in this film. And like thematically, they're trying to piece it all together, as I said. And as I said, like these ideas are that he has in this movie are good separately, but him trying to put them all in this one movie, I don't know, it just didn't all come together for me. Like for example, this movie takes place during the 1930s, and it's in Italy during the fascist dictatorship, and they wanted to add a storyline where Pinocchio is being sent into war with other kids, and I didn't know how to feel about that plot point. I didn't feel like it really added anything. And then there's another subplot where um this is not really a spoiler, by the way, so this doesn't really impact the film too much. But there is a subplot where Pinocchio dies, and he gets sent to the underworld, and he is met by the Blue Fairy's sister. And there's this whole thing of like he is like Pinocchio becomes immortal, so whenever he dies, like he has to spend a little bit of time with the Blue Fairy's twin, and like he comes back to life. And I guess the whole thing is like he's not supposed to break the cycle that the Blue Fairy's twin makes for him. And like I that didn't really add anything to the story, to be honest. Like I don't know why they had to add an element of Pinocchio um like being able to die and go to the underworld and stuff like that. It feels like an excuse for Guillermo to add some like underworld dark mysticism about it. And then another thing, this movie tries to be a musical, and like I didn't think the music in the movie was bad, but it didn't really need to be a musical either. It just made the film a bit more disjointed in my opinion. There's a couple of songs that I liked. Like whenever Pinocchio sang, I thought it was really nice. And like there was an opening song with Geppetto singing to his real son at the beginning, because they actually set up um and explain the tragic passing of Geppetto's real son, which I thought was really heart wrenching. And there was a really nice song in there, but like yeah, with it being a musical, I didn't feel like it needed to be. But yeah, I just felt like it wasn't fully focused overall. It could have done better to just have the story just be a little bit more simple than what Guillermo was trying to do. You could tell like he's trying to be a little bit more ambitious with this, with this version of Pinocchio, which I do commend from a visual standpoint, from a creative standpoint. Um, Honestly, this is one of the better versions of Pinocchio. You know, this is one of the more interesting versions of Pinocchio, and I wouldn't mind watching this again. And I would say like this is a decent movie for a family. I wouldn't show little kids this because this does get a bit dark in places. I would say like I wouldn't show kids that are below 10 maybe, maybe 8 if you know, depends how brave they are. But this is a decent family film if you guys are into a more serious, a more mystical version of Pinocchio. I think this is a solid movie to watch. And also, if you're a Pinocchio fan and you're a Guillermo del Toro fan, I think you'll have a good time with this. But overall, this wasn't. I didn't think this was perfect. I didn't think it was fantastic. It's not the masterpiece that I see people claiming it to be, but I don't think it's bad. I think it's a good movie. I do recommend you guys, you know, watch this and get your own opinion about it. But yeah, overall, I will give Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio a solid B. You know, I think it's a good movie. But yeah, I don't think it's great. But yeah, that's my opinion on Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. What did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? Comment your thoughts down below and let me know. If you guys enjoyed this review, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers, so please help me reach that goal. And if you want to be notified of future videos I'll be doing, don't forget to hit the bell while you're at it. But that's all I have for you, and I will see you in the next video. Talk to you guys later. Bye bye.